FightSaga.com and Halftime Pizza proudly present WAWR Week Radio Chats with ring announcer and commentator Joseph Heron.
Guys, welcome. Happy Wednesday to everyone. I hope you guys are having a wonderful week. I tell you what, after visiting with Coach Gogi on Sunday and then Coach Ronnie last night, tell you what, it's been a pretty awesome week for us here. And guys, it's going to be a great Wednesday evening because right now I'm being joined by the Commander-in-Chief, the Editor-in-Chief of BoxingSource.net, the incomparable J.R. Bell. How you doing, my friend?
What's going on, Joe?
I tell you what, how about some ambience, right? Some conversation music. Can you hear that?
Hold on. You can hear a little bit in the background. Yeah, I hear it.
Yeah, I tell you what, man. Yeah, let's put some groovy music, man, to start things off tonight, guys. And we hope everyone's having a great week. We hope you guys are doing well. We've got a lot to discuss, James. And once again, I think people get the wrong idea, right? On shows like, this is why I love doing your show, right? Because very seldom outside of WAWR Week Radio Chats do I get to voice my actual opinion of things, right? Because we all know that, well, hosting a show with James Gogi isn't easy. And it's definitely not easy to get your own opinion heard. It can be a bit overbearing at times, and that's the way we love it, right? That's why I love doing your show on Sunday, right? Before James Gogi's podcast. Yeah, we always have a lot of fun over there. And guys, if you haven't checked out this past Sunday's show on James's podcast, The Boxing Source, please go check it out after we're finished. But yeah, everyone automatically assumes that I'm in agreement with both James Gogi and both Ronnie Shields because that's my job, is just to be the host and to be very agreeable. Now, once again, we went through fact or fiction last night with Coach Ronnie Shields. But James, as a special treat and a surprise for you, after we're finished talking about, let's just get right down to it, brother. Let's do fact or fiction with JR from the Boxing Source. How do you like that, brother?
All right, let's go for it.
Yeah. All right, brother. I tell you what, this should be a lot of fun. And once again, we're always used to Coach Ronnie hearing his opinion. Coach Gogi, what does James think from the Boxing Source? This should be a special treat. And I think with this, we'll cover everything. And once again, guys, I just finished an article based on Coach Ronnie's interview last night or yesterday. And it's published on Boxing News 24. Guess what it's titled, James? It's titled, quote, Slow Mo Joe can't win a rematch with Zhilei Zhang, insists expert trainer Ronnie Shields. How do you like that? We'll see if James agrees with that. But guys, let's do fact or fiction with the incomparable JR from the Boxing Source. Here's number one, sir.
Here we go.
Canelo Alvarez, although dominant in his performance against John Ryder, was touched up and went the distance with the tough Brit as a result of how proficient his opponent was, not the idea that Alvarez is indeed slipping. Fact or fiction?
I'd go fact on that. People are giving that much credit to John Ryder as a veteran in the super middleweight division. He's had a number of close fights, whether it's he's been on the favorable end or the short end. He's had close fights over the course of his professional career. And a lot of people going into that fight, thought that he would, kind of like be a pushover of sorts. And I mean, I kind of fell into that. Kind of thought that he would, succumb to Canelo's overall pressure by around the 6th round. He did get knocked down in the 4th, but was able to get through that, and as a result, got through the next 8 rounds or the following 8 rounds to go the distance against Canelo Alvarez. But that's a testament to his toughness. He had only been stopped once in his professional career, regardless. So that just goes to the toughness of Mr. Ryder, there. So, I think that's the thing there. And then also, it's not really anything in reference to a slip for Canelo Alvarez. Canelo is Canelo. It's just about like how he deals with his opponent, because if Canelo was, as they say, slipping or whatever it was, then, I would have thought that you would see it against a guy that moves a little bit more than Ryder does. And he faced Caleb Plant, and you saw what he did with Caleb Plant. He made the proper adjustments, was able to cut off the ring properly, was able to make all of his punches count, and was able to eventually stop Caleb Plant. So I think that, even though Canelo Alvarez is, about 18 years into his professional career. I think he, still, pretty much, still on his game. He's not like on a serious decline as of right now.
Hey guys, you know what? Great answer, brother. And let's see if I agree with you. Now, once again, guys, give me some feedback. Is the music in the background too loud? Would you like me to turn it down? James, how about you? Would you like me to turn it down a tad?
Right now, it's fine.
Okay, yeah, I think it sounds great, man. Oh, yeah. Yeah. I think it sounds fine. But I tell you what, before we move forward, and once again, guys, feel free to play along with us, please. And before we move forward, let's answer a couple questions right now, James, shall we? Let's give a shout out to my brother Jesus M. Saludos to you, my friend. Happy Wednesday. And he says, Joe, how would you grade Janabek card this Saturday from Stockton, California? Brother, this is nothing more than a paid advertisement for Haney versus Lomachenko on pay-per-view. Make no mistake about it, Stephen Butler, he's an aggressive-minded fighter that's going to get smashed by the prolific counterpuncher, and he's going to feel that Kazakh power, brother. And as far as Gabriel Flores Jr., well, there's only one reason why he's on the card, because he's from Stockton and he sells a lot of tickets. It definitely isn't Janabek Ali Manallah. Boy, that guy couldn't sell at my living room on a Saturday night. I tell you what, guys. So those are my thoughts. We'll get back to that in a little bit, right? Further along we get on the show. But Dre, Finest, thank you for joining us, my friend. Happy Wednesday to you. Well, I tell you what's up with you? You did? Dre's a cool dude, man. And we love him being here. And we always appreciate you supporting all the programming here that we have all week long. And so Jesus says, so Joe, is Joe versus Zhang 2 on? Far from it, brother. And once again, there was a stipulation in the contract, right? To where they have, from what I understand and what I've been told, that Joe Joyce does indeed have that rematch clause. But there is a stipulation that either fighter has the ability, right? Has the ability to take an interim fight before that. And so if he takes a fight with Tyson Fury and Tyson Fury beats that ass, well, guess what? He doesn't have options. That negates his rematch clause, right? And so he has no choice but to pull the trigger and activate that rematch clause. And what more than likely is going to happen, from what I understand, they're going to try and get some step aside money, because from what I hear, from what I understand, the Tyson Fury-Zhilei Zhang super fight at Wembley Stadium this July is all but a done deal. So this is a very smart move from the Lane brothers, his management team from New Jersey, right? Once again, they're related to Mills Lane, the late great Mills Lane. And so from what I understand, they're going to try to get some step-aside money as well as a guarantee, written guarantee, to fight the eventual winner. In my opinion, that is a very shrewd move, right? What say you, James?
I mean, it may be a good move on Joe Joyce's part in this instance. You know, he got beat up, you know, by Zhilei Zhang, and
yeah, boy, he got his ass whooped.
Yeah, it was just a style matchup that was just all wrong form. You know, going up against the southpaw with a power punch in Zhilei Zhang, and Zhilei Zhang at the very least, even at his advanced age, he moves his head. Joe Joyce doesn't, and that was evident in that fight. You know, and I know that Joyce kind of joked about it, you know, after the fight, but yeah, he got, you know, beat up like he beat up Daniel Dubois. You know, but you know, in this instance, he was, you know, just getting hit with power punches to the eye. You know, it wasn't jabs to the eye, it was power punches to the eye. But also, even in the early parts of the fight, he was, you know, getting rocked a little bit. He was stumbling from those power punches from Zhilei Zhang. So,
let's just be honest.
Yeah,
he was getting his ass whooped in the first 3 rounds. And you know what looked like his dubious strategy of being the punching bag for the first half of the fight, hoping to gas his opponent. It looked like it was about to work until that eye just ballooned up beautifully, didn't it?
Yep.
But I tell you what, until then, he was coming on. Rounds 4, 5, and 6. Boy, he started putting it together. And I would say this about the juggernaut, Joe Joyce. He subscribes to the ideology of the steady drop fills the bucket. And boy, he just doesn't quit now, does he? He's constantly firing. And if you're a guy who needs to take breaks like Zhilei Zhang, that can be pretty overwhelming. But when you let your hands go that frequently, you're going to take some incoming as well. And with a guy who's as fast, as powerful from the southpaw position like Zhilei Zhang, well, that's a very dubious strategy once again, right? So, guys, we're going to get into that a little bit further. And the big question is, well, should Joe Joyce, should he just try to get some step-aside money with a written guarantee to face the winner, or can he win the rematch? That's a big, big question, and that's coming up ahead on Fact or Fiction. Now, Dre Finest says, no, Canelo isn't slipping, or, well, let's say Fact or Fiction, guys, right? So I'm saying he's fiction, that Canelo is indeed slipping. Is that what you're saying? Please clarify, my friend. And want to thank the Boxing Scholar to the show. Thank you, sir, for joining us, my friend. He says, shout out to Joe with the world's best radio voice. Thank you for saying that, brother. I'm going to be doing ring announcing on May 20th in San Antonio, Texas at the new Techport Arena with Ricky Medina Jr., El Castigo, going to be in the main event. But that's very kind of you to say, because most people would insist that I have the world's best radio face. How do you like that, James?
Oh.
Oh, but Dre Finest also said, boy, Tyson hurts that old boy real bad. You did? Yep. And the Boxing Scholar says, Joe Joyce should stop chasing that ass whooping like Rolly. Ooh. Oh, dude. And to add to that, James, Dre says, man, that's an understatement. Joe Joyce got his ass torn out of the frame.
Yep. It's bad.
Oh, geez. And yeah, we'll get into it, guys. And once again, I just published the article from the Ronnie Shields interview on Boxing News 24, guys. So, yeah, so there you go. And he's right on the money. He says, you know what? He's just not used to getting hit on that right side of the face by southpaws. And you know, once again, Ronnie stated that last night. Well, you know what? We're jumping the gun, guys. Let's stay on track. Now, once again, what did you say to the first factor of fiction? Let me read this again, James. Mm-hmm. Forgive me, sir. I got caught off track. And once again, guys, please play along with us, fact or fiction, right? Number one, Canelo Alvarez, although dominant in his performance against John Ryder, was touched up and went the distance with the tough Brit as a result of how proficient this opponent was and not the idea that Alvarez is slipping. And you said fact, correct?
Correct.
Okay, well, I'm going to double up, brother. And I'm going to say fact as well. Yes, Boxing News 24, Dre Finest. Boxing News 24, sir. Excuse me. I'm going to say fact as well, brother. Because once again, the conventional wisdom was, right? Conventional wisdom was that Ryder was just going to be right there for him to hit from mid to long range. Even at short range, it was going to be an easy target that didn't move, right? Keeps his head on the line, doesn't move from side to side. His footwork isn't that good. Guys, if you watch that fight again, John Ryder did a really good job of mixing strategies. He would stay from mid to long range, and he would move about the ring, that very small ring of 18 by 18, right? Mm-hmm. And then he would quickly lunge in, trying to catch Canelo off balance and try to put together a combination, muscling him against the ropes, forcing Canelo to just hide behind the high guard. Right? He was doing a really good job of keeping Canelo off balance, all the while still getting bludgeoned by those hard right hands. I thought it was an excellent fight. Now, did John Ryder, in my opinion, do anything to win the fight? Not really. I think he was trying to remain competitive and trying to get that moral victory in reaching the final bell. And that he did, but boy, what a bludgeoning he took. And once again, people are saying, oh, look at his reflexes. He got hit a lot. And, well, look, from short range like that, when you've got a guy laying on you, you're going to get hit. John Ryder did an excellent job of cutting off that reaction time, fighting him in a phone booth whenever he let his hands go. I don't care who you are. You could be Floyd Mayweather Jr. You're going to get hit at that range. You don't have that time to react. Now, look, from mid to long range, yeah, good luck hitting Canelo Alvarez, a guy blessed with some of the best reflexes in boxing. But John Ryder didn't try to throw anything from that range. He was afraid of, well, Canelo slipping and countering. He would force Canelo to fight behind that high guard defense and try to stalk him, try to cut off the ring and close the distance. And then as soon as he would step around him with that southpaw position, he would jump in, right? Trying to catch Canelo off balance, right? I thought he fought a very smart fight, albeit, you know, when you consider his power or lack of, more specifically, you know, even though he brought a knife to a gunfight, yeah, I thought he fought a very smart, strategic fight, and he was very competitive. And, you know, give him an A+ for his toughness. Right. So do I think Canelo's slipping? Not really. Not really. I don't agree with Gogi. I agree most closely with Ronnie Shields, and I agree with you, James. I think a lot of people are overreacting because a guy they didn't expect to see the final bell, John Ryder, yeah, he made it there, and he was tough. And he, well, hit Canelo in close quarters against the ropes.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people are overreacting, my friend. Your final thoughts on this before we move to number 2.
Well, the thing about it was when Ryder had the response after the knockdown where he, hit the canvas after a 1-2 piece, that kind of, shown his, one, his resiliency, and that two, that he still could have something that could, stop Canelo in his tracks. So I think that particular where he kind of like said, hey, I'm still, here, and I could still, do things in order to stop the overall momentum of Canelo Alvarez. Now, there was a moment within like either round 8 or 9 where Canelo was landing a lot of shots on Ryder, and that probably could have, forced a stoppage. But since it didn't, they, was able to just continue to put on with that fight. So,
yeah, what I will say this, and the boxing scholar says this. No way Canelo 5 years ago has a small ring like that and breaks the guy's nose and allows him to finish. I will say this. Somewhere along the way, right, he's fallen in love with his power and doesn't nearly put his punches together as well as he used to. Right? Canelo's always been known as a very creative combination puncher. And he always seemed to put his punches together in combination extremely well. Now it almost seems like he's gunning for that one big punch. That's a very bad habit. Look, especially when you're dealing with bigger guys who can take your power. And Gus has the beat. Welcome to the show, sir. He says, I didn't see Canelo setting up any shots. Well, look, then you didn't see the knockdown in the 5th. Because I thought Canelo did a brilliant job, masterful, setting up that knockdown, right? And he did it by landing those looping right hands around the guard of John Ryder. And one of those broke his nose at the end of the 2nd round. And enough of them landed where it got the attention, where John Ryder was anticipating it. So you go to the 5th round and you see Canelo's shoulders start to move, and he starts anticipating that looping right hand, and he puts his left hand up, and in comes a straight right hand right down the chute, flooring him. If that isn't setting up any shots, well, I don't know what is, right? So I want to thank Cali Fire for visiting the show. He says, salute, War Week Radio. Salute to you, my friend. The Boxing College says, I 100% agree, but not being able to put your punches together is a sign of a shot fighter. Well, I'll tell you what, we'll just have to see what sample he gives us in his next outing, James. Right?
Yep.
No. And I agree with Gus. I don't think he's a shot fighter yet. Right? But I will say this. Yeah, he's accumulated a lot of bad habits since he's fallen in love with his power. He believes, and you saw this against W.A.W. He believes he's got one punch knockout power and no one can withstand it. No one can stand up to it. Well, quite the contrary, brother. These are all world-class fighters. And everyone knows that a lot of your success, a great percentage of your success at the world-class level is your ability, is determined by your ability to take a good punch. Right? Very seldom do you see guys with glass chins at the elite level or the world-class level. Very seldom, guys. Right. So let's move on to number 2, James. Are you ready, brother?
All right, number 2.
Here it comes, James. Guys, play along with us. Fact or fiction? Canelo Alvarez will not face W.A.W. later this year, but will elect to face cruiserweight champ Badu Jack instead for the WBC crown, becoming the first Mexican-born fighter to win championships in 5 different weight classes. Fact or fiction?
Oh.
Woo! I tell you what, guys, on that note, while James is pondering that, and you guys are pondering that statement, Here's the first shot of the evening, guys, of some sweet amber. God bless all of you. Here's some Jack Daniels down the hatch. Thank you for joining us, sir. Woo!
Okay. It's a tough one, but I'm gonna go fiction.
Wait a minute. Repeat that one more time, my friend. You know what, brother? I'm gonna turn down the go-go music, man, because I can't hear you nearly as well as I should.
Oh, word. Oh, okay.
Hold on, man. Hold on, dude. Let me turn. Nah. Hold on. Here we go. That's better. I think that's better. I can hear you much better now.
All right.
Right? All right, brother. So bring it, brother. Don't sing it. Bring it. Fact or fiction?
I'll say fiction. It was a very tough one. But for Canelo to go up to cruiserweight, like he had those initial thoughts of doing that when W.A.W was the champ.
Mako who?
Yeah, right. Lunga W.A.W. Yes, that's right. That's his name. But when W.A.W lost to Battle Jack, I think Battle Jack was somebody that has a style that is not all too good for Canelo. And I also think that financials are a factor too. I don't think that fight between Canelo and Jack would kind of bring enough interest. So I think he's not going to go for that cruiserweight bout. I think he will stay at super middleweight. And I think he's going to have that fight against David Benavidez.
Well, look, if you're talking about the Badu Jack not sizing up well with Canelo, style-wise, if you're comparing that to Dimitri Bivol, I'm sorry, brother, I would take the big old cruiserweight over Dimitri Bivol any day of the week. So I'm going to agree with Trey Finest, brother, and say fact. I'm saying fact, and the boxing scholar can see it. Yep, I can see that fight happening. Because look, guys, look. Dimitri Bivol, that is a conquest. And once again, I stated this on last night's show with Ronnie Shields. Brother, if you continue to pursue Dimitri Bivol, you might as well title your next fight on the marquee, on the poster, Call Me Ismail. Because that's your damn Moby Dick, brother. That's your white whale. You're never going to slay it. You're never going to catch it. He's going to whoop your ass and drown you, possibly stopping you in your next outing. In my opinion, he would rather bill his next event as let's make history. He can sell pay-per-views just based on that. Let guys witness a boxing first. He's going to become the first Mexican-born fighter to win championships in 5 different weight divisions. And it's for the WBC. I can see that happening, guys. And once again, let's give a big shout out to our brother Juice. Salute, Mr. Aaron of WAWR Week Radio. And Mr. James of the Boxing Source. And the chat. God bless you, Juice. Thank you for always being here, my friend. God bless you, my friend. And also, big shout out to my brother Bruce Gas, Boxing Jazz, and more. Salute to you, my friend. Thank you for always being a part of the program. And thank you for supporting James and myself on this beautiful Wednesday evening. I tell you what. So now I want to give a big shout out to my brother Adolfo Horta. Salute Joseph and TBS as well as the audience. Salute to you, my friend. Gus. Oh boy. Praying that the Benavidez fight happens. Look, I think Ronnie Shields, our dear friend Ronnie Shields, has the beat. You remember what he said last night if you listened to the show? He said, you know what? We have no confidence at all that Canelo's going to fight either David of the 168-pound division. Not Benavidez, not Morrell Jr. So it looks like we're going to have to start preparing for each other instead. Tell you what, man. Now that's another question, brother. And well, first of all, before you answer this, think about this, my friend. Think about this. Who wins between Dave Morrell Jr. and Dave Benavidez? Think about that for a second while I thank It's Me, Pablo, for joining the show again. He said, all the attention is going to the fact that Canelo is slipping. Canelo landed 117 punches on Caleb, 130 on Triple G, and 179 on John Ryder. Is that really slipping? Well, tell you what, it depends. Once again, styles make fights, guys. And that's a very good comment, Pablo. Thank you, brother. But according to James Gogi, he insists, he busts out the checklist, right? Number one, he's getting hit a lot more frequently than he usually does. Number two, Gogi said, hey, you know what? I noticed him having a much harder time pulling the trigger. His punches aren't as crisp, aren't as sharp as they once were. Those were the big two on Gogi's checklist, and that's why he came to the conclusion that Canelo is indeed slipping, I should say. My apologies. And there it is. So now we go back to you, James.
Mm-hmm.
Who wins, Dave Morrell Jr. or David Benavidez at 168?
I'm favoring Morrell. More of a complete fighter. Mm-hmm.
Oh, it's not easy to predict that one, is it? But I will say this. It's very difficult to favor anyone outside of the athletic specimen that David Morrell is. That guy is a freak. He is an athletic freak. Like Big Papa Pump, brother. He's a genetic freak. Have you seen him work out at the Sugar Land, Texas gym? Brother, I'm going to have to drive up there and shoot some footage, right? I'm about 3 hours away, 2.5 hours away from Ronnie's gym, right? And I'm going to shoot you some footage to show you when this guy does yoga in the center of the ring before he works out every morning. This guy's a freak. He can do things athletically that no one else can in the center of the ring at 168. Not Canelo, not Benavidez, not anyone. His footwork, his angles, his creative combination punching. Now keep in mind, he's a Cuban national. He's not, I can't say that he's a Cuban exile because he came to the U.S. the right way. He petitioned for citizenship, right? But he is from Cuba, so he comes from that amateur pedigree, right? And so he's a natural right-handed fighter and a converted southpaw. So that means he's ambidextrous. He's got punching power in both hands. He's a switch hitter. And you saw that against Yamaguchi Falcao and against Eidos Bossanola, right? Poor Eidos. Hope he's doing well. But you saw it. Didn't you feel bad for Yamaguchi Falcao on April 22nd? Didn't he look 80 years old compared to the athletic freak Dave Morrell Jr.?
What was the Olympic medalist? And he just looked.
Oh, dude, I tell you what, he just stuffed that Olympic bronze right up the ass of Yamaguchi Falcao.
Yeah.
Oh, man, he looked like an old geezer. Like he was moving, and he looked like Joe Joyce compared to Dave Morrell Jr., didn't he, brother?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, look at me, man, picking on Joe Joyce. Oh boy! I tell you what, though, let's say hi to several of our dear friends in the chat some more, right? Khalid, welcome to the show, sir. He says, "Salute, Joseph. If Matchroom signs Subriel Matias, that would be good for Regis. That's a huge if, brother. I'll tell you what, without Subriel Matias signing with Matchroom Sport, what is in the future of Regis Prograis? We're going to touch on that later, brother. I can guarantee you that. Dre Finest says, yep, Ronnie's correct. Khalid also says, Benavidez versus Morrell is a tremendous fight, brother. Gus says, Morrell whoops Benavidez' ass. Kali Fire says, El Bandera Roja. Woo! I tell you what, that's what makes a great fight. When you're on the bubble, guys, and when you're not sure of how the outcome's going to be, yeah, that's what makes fights great. Dre Finder says, I'm going with Morrell. Oh, brother, I'm there with you, man. And Khalid says, I got Morrell as well. His athleticism is great. He's got way better footwork than Benavidez. That's how he wins. Yes, sir. It's freakish, right? It's freakish. And there it is. And there it is. Juice also says, I'm taking Benavidez. It's hard to bet against the monster. Yep. Look, guys, and I will say this, let the cat out of the bag. The next time he fights, his ring moniker is now going to be El Sicario. And you know why, James?
Yeah, he dropped the El Bandera Roja nickname.
No. I'm not talking about Benavidez.
Oh.
I'm talking about Dave Morrell Jr., who doesn't have a nickname right now.
Right.
He goes by Osvari, his birth name, right?
Birth name, yeah.
So in his next fight, he's going to be going by El Sicario, which means the hitman in Spanish. El Sicarios, those guys, Los Sicarios, those are hitmen for the cartels in Mexico. And because he's been Canelo's unofficial hitman for the WBA, picking off every single one of Canelo's mandatory challengers for the WBA. Keep in mind, guys, Canelo's had that distinction, the WBA title, since December of 2020, and he has yet to face one mandatory challenger. Dave Morrell has already fought two of them. Yep. And so he's like, hey, man, I might as well, I'm going to call myself El Sicario because that's what I am to the WBA. I'm Canelo's unofficial hitman, taking care of his light work. And all the while, I can't get a fight with him. What kind of bullshit is that?
This is, included in one of the articles are there from War Week Radio Network. So if you check out the channel, you'll be able to listen to that article with David Morrell and Coach Ronnie Shields about.
You know what, brother? I will say this. Thank you for saying that, my friend. Thank you for saying that. But I will say this. That was a great article you wrote on Boxing News or boxingsource.net. Great job, man. You know what? And guys, James, if you didn't know, is a brilliant writer. Go check out his writing on boxingsource.net, guys. He's very good, very unbiased, and he reports, which is a breath of fresh air from most hacks that you'll read in this version of boxing journalism. Should I even call it journalism anymore, James?
Yeah, man, I don't know, man. These days, people sit down and writing, it's a rarity. At least to me it is. But
look, I'll say this. I'll say this from two old codgers like us, right? And once again, I'm a lot older than you. I will say this, though. Boxing pundits now, they truly believe that all you have to do to be a boxing scribe or boxing journalist is to have a camera, is to be a fan with a camera and a mic. That's it. Far from it, guys. Far from it. Want to thank SSP Diving for joining us tonight. Thank you, brother. Thank you for joining the program. He says, I've never been a fanboy, but Morrell got me feeling some type of way. Woohoo! I tell you what, brother, that's a great comment. And yeah, if you're excited and you feel like a fan when watching Dave Morrell Jr., well, it's for good reason. That guy is special. And look, Ronnie has already told me, hey, man, he is the future undisputed of 168 as well as 175. and he says, put it in the bank. Tell you what, you have every reason to be excited, my friend. Thank you for joining the show. Also want to give a big shout out to my brother, Big Luke. Good evening to you, my friend. And I tell you what, summer break is almost here for you, brother. We look forward to staying on the air all night and having you join us, my friend. Thank you, my brother. Thank you for being here. Your friendship and your really means a lot to me, my friend. God bless you. And I hope you're doing well, man. Prayers to you and your entire family. I'll tell you what, Dre says this. Hey, Joe, have you noticed how David be breaking big and bad with the other fighters, but he has a different tone when anybody mentions Morrell to David? Well, excuse me. My goodness. Hey, Joe, oh, shoot. My word. I'm not going to repeat that, but I will say this. Yeah, until Dave Morrell Jr. becomes a genuine ticket seller in the sport, he's going to have a hard time getting people in the ring. And Pablo says, El Sicario, take it easy, Joe. Take it easy. Take it easy. It's Mexican Mother's Day. Well, I tell you what, God bless to all of the angels who raised us. Because I tell you what, women like them don't exist any longer. They just don't. James, am I right about that? You can plead the fifth as you want, brother. But you know me, man. Once I get a couple shots of sweet amber in me.
Hey, I know.
Well, let me tell you, brother, the angels who raised us do not exist any longer, guys. So I urge all of you this Sunday for Mother's Day, please go make a special day for your mama, guys. And if she's no longer with you, okay, remember her with fond memories because she was always there for you. And I tell you what, once again, they don't make them like that any longer. The angels who raised us, they don't exist anymore, guys. Now, with that said, we want to greet a happily married man to our show, G Funky Boxing. Greetings, Joe and James. Greetings to you, my friend. And once again, this is a gentleman who will never agree with me when it comes to that sentiment. Because once again, he's one of the few and the proud. And I'm not talking about the Marines. I'm talking about the happily married. That's my brother, G Funky. God bless you, brother. And if you guys haven't already, please go subscribe to my brother, G Funky. God bless you, my friend. Yeah, the Boxing Scholar says this, reporting with quotes.
Well, you got, well, it's said a certain way, and I have a feeling I know who he's referring to in reference to that. So, yeah.
Of course, once again. And I've had run-ins with the look guys, once again, I'm going to take one shot before I say this, right? Here's a shot to all of you guys before we continue with Fact or Fiction and before I reveal who quotes reporting is. Once again, well, it's Jew Boy. We all knew who that is. And like Emmanuel Stewart used to call Max Kellerman the Golden Jew. Yes. Guys, shot 30. Raise your glasses if you have them. Here's to all of you guys, and here's to our beloved boxing. God bless all of you. Reporting. Seriously, I remember specifically asking my line of questions, and while I'm asking someone a fighter who's going to remain unnamed, the Golden Jew, he actually butts in and tries to correct me on something, saying that I'm being a little too unreasonable or too tough. And I'm like, hey, brother, whose interview is this? Is this yours? No, shut up. And I had to tell him just like that at an event. And this was back, I want to say that this was Broner versus Maidana. Because you know how he is with Adrian Broner. He is up AB's arse. And I was saying, well, look, AB, you're flat-footed, and once again, there's nothing wrong with that. You combine speed with power, so you depend on being flat-footed. But is that going to serve you well against the typhoon, Marcos Maidana? And Ellie tried to come in and, well, hey, man, that's not a cool question. I'm like, shut your ass, dude. This is my interview, not yours. Shut up. And that's the last run-in he ever had with me. And that's the last time he ever tried to correct me in an interview. He can kiss my ass. Anyway, so that's how I feel about him. How do you like that, guys? Once again, maybe that's why I don't get the big ring announcing assignments or the commentary assignments, because I got no filter. I've got no filter. Guys, big shout out to my brother Sid UK. Salute to you, my friend. Thank you for being here, my brother. So we're moving on to number 3.
Number 3.
Well, let's move on, right? Let's move on. Well, let's do this anyway. Jermall Charlo. Fact or fiction, guys, play along with us. Fact or fiction, Jermall Charlo will take on an interim opponent this summer and will get it on with Jaime Munguia later this year. Fact or fiction?
I'm going to say fact in that. A couple of weeks ago, if you had said a couple of weeks ago, I might have leaned fiction, given that there was a particular guy that he may have had a fight against, but I think that fight is out of the window and out of the cards right now. So, at this particular point, I think he is going forward with this interim fight, and then he'll face Jaime Munguia after that. If not Jaime Munguia, then it'll be Adames.
Yeah, you know what, brother? I would agree with that, because Goldie Fishnets, Oscar De La Hoya, boy, he's been lobbying for that fight once again. Hey, you know what? If Mauricio Suleiman, if he loves the sport of boxing, he's going to strip Jermall Charlo of his title, because he's been inactive way too long. And you know what? A fight like Jaime Munguia versus Sergey Derevyanchenko deserves to be fought for the vacant WBC middleweight championship.
That was the funniest thing. Yo, like, I didn't think that Oscar De La Hoya would stoop to a level like that, but like that far.
Dude, look. I used to work with Golden Boy Promotions, right? With Don Chargan. Mm-hmm. Brother, I know, look, Goldie is a flake. And he'll say the first thing that comes out of his mouth, gee, I don't know how that feels. But, yeah, dude, anyway, man, Oscar De La Hoya, yeah, he'll say anything just to get his name back in the media.
Man, but Jaime Munguia versus Sergey Derevyanchenko for the belt.
Hey, everyone is already saying, oh, that guy's tailor-made for Jaime Munguia. Really? Oh, look. And once again, most people understand that Sergey Derevyanchenko, he's got a lot of miles on the odometer, over 350 amateur fights with only 19 losses. And all of the hard matchups that he's had back to back. I mean, come on, Danny Jacobs, Gennady Golovkin, Jermall Charlo, Carlos Adames, right?
Mm-hmm.
But when's the last time he's fought? He needed this time off. And to be honest with you, if Jaime Munguia doesn't learn a more sophisticated way of closing the distance and cutting off the ring, fighting behind a more intelligent jab, well, Derevyanchenko is a different animal, a guy with a deep amateur background and who uses angles in the pocket. Jaime Munguia is going to have a very tough day at the office. Mark my words, guys. I like this fight. I do favor Jaime Munguia, but guys, don't discount Sergey Derevyanchenko. This is a well-schooled fighter with a deep amateur background who is an intelligent assassin in the pocket. And guys, unless you grapple him and hold on to him, wrap him up like an octopus like Carlos Adames, he's going to give you fits in the pocket. Wait and see. Wait and see, guys.
Mm-hmm.
I love this fight. I love this fight. Should it be, though, for the vacant WBC middleweight championship? No, it shouldn't. With that said, Jamal, come on, baby. Get back in the ring. From what Ronnie just laid on us, it's now been pushed back, his return to the ring, for August, right? So, moving on, my friend, number 4. You ready?
Yep.
All right, because Canelo will be busy with other plans later this year, Dave Morrell Jr. will indeed take on David Benavidez in the fall. Fact or fiction?
Ooh.
Yeah. Come on, James.
It's tough for me to say it on this one, but I'm going to say fact. I'm going to say fact, and the reason why is because I really don't see, other means or other routes for, I would say, David Benavidez at this point. Him having to fight against Caleb Plant, I know that was like a barometer of sorts in reference to what he could do as far as like a ticket seller and for pay-per-view, but he's pretty much like at the point where there really isn't many other options out there for him. There's only like one other one, and I don't think they would do that at this point, and that's against Andrade. So I say, hey, they're going to just say, hey, let's go ahead and have these two guys scrap it out here as, the two top guys at super middleweight right under Canelo Alvarez. So I feel like that will end up being next.
Well, you know what, brother? It's very, very, very hard to disagree with that. Very hard to disagree with that. And once again, the reason why, and you're in good company, brother. Dre Finder says, yes, number 4. Fact. Because once again, I love the ideology that Tom Brown and Al Heyman are now embracing. Hey, you know what? We're not waiting for the Cinnamon Boy any longer. This caravan is going to keep rolling with or without him. You got to love it. But let's go to It's Me Pablo. He says this, Joe, if Jamal Charlo fights once this year, will you be excited for his next 3 title defenses 3 years from now? No. Look, he understands, and if you did understand what he's been going through on a personal level, you would be a little more sympathetic. Because I tell you what, if you've been married and divorced, right, those things can be heart-wrenching and grueling, and your mind is not into fighting, right? And that's where Jamal's been. Now he's got 5 children with this lady, right?
Mm-hmm.
Who's, from what I've been told, making this a very ugly separation.
Mm-hmm.
Trying to take him to the cleaners.
Mm-hmm.
You try standing in front of a guy who's trying to take your head off while all of this is going on in your medulla. It's not that easy. So I will say this, though. In the immortal words of Coach Ronnie, he's like, hey, Jamal knows this is now or never for his career. This is it. All of the momentum that he had a couple of years ago, gone. Gone. He's got to do everything he can to remind everyone that he's still a player at 160, potentially 168.
Yep.
He understands what he's up against.
Hey, what was that you were saying earlier? Reference to they don't make them like they used to when they go
Brother, that is the God's honest truth. That is the God's honest truth. And I tell you what, Big Luke, if you're still listening, brother, much prayers, many prayers to you and your guardian angel, your best friend, your mama. She's in my thoughts on this Mother's Day, my friend. What an angel. God bless you, Big Luke, and I hope you're doing well, my friend. And you know your mama had a part in, trying to situate things for you in the present today with your young lady, right? Your mama's still looking after you, my friend, your best friend. God bless you, my brother. I love you, man. So with that said, I tell you what, let's go. Hold on. I think I forgot one. Our brother Joseph Brown from Philly. Welcome to the show, sir. I didn't forget about you, my brother. He says, what do you think about Andy Cruz signing with Matchroom and training with Boots Ennis and Bozy Ennis? I will say this, that's great company to have. And I tell you what, the lightweight division, oh boy, you're put on notice because Andy Cruz is a bad dude.
Yeah, you're going out there to Philly to be out
but
there.
We will see if Matchroom Sport, James, can turn him into a ticket seller, because unless he becomes a ticket seller, best of luck at Matchroom getting the best to step in the ring with you.
Yep.
Same goes with Regis Prograis. Best of luck getting the other best of your division to step in the ring with you, being aligned with Eddie Hearn. Boxing Source, James, when's the last time Top Rank is elected to work with Eddie Hearn?
What was that? What was that fight? The Ramirez versus
Booker versus Jose Ramirez.
Yeah, Booker versus Jose Ramirez. That's
how long ago was that? 4 years?
4 years or more.
Yep. Yeah. That tells you the likelihood of Regis Prograis finding anyone out of the Top Rank stable. So any one of these suckasses, these guys who are wishful thinking or who don't understand the business of it, right? Yeah. Keep on praying to the Tooth Fairy, brother. Ain't gonna happen, right? I want to give a big shout out to my brother Lefty from Chicken Talk. Thank you for joining us, sir.
What up, though?
I tell you what, and Joseph has the beat. Andy Cruz, a bona fide 5-star talent, 2-time gold medalist. Need to move him fast and correctly. Now, once again, is Eddie Hearn, who is still learning the American market, is he capable of moving him correctly? Now, once again, I love matchmaker from Matchroom Sport, Eric Botcher. Once again, he is one of the best matchmakers in the business. Okay, he's got a ton of experience, and anyone who's familiar with Don King knows that's where he came from, right? But do they have the contenders to match him up correctly? Nope. So moving on to number 5, and this opens up a new can of worms, brother. We're going to start talking now about the Showtime fight card this Saturday night. Rolly Romero versus Ismael Barroso in the main event. But let's go down the card. Omar Juarez will be upset and knocked out by sharpshooter Rantis Barthelemy on Showtime this Saturday night. Fact or fiction, my friend?
Stop. Yeah, I say fact.
Oh boy. You know what? And I love Omar, man. He and his family are good people, but can you say rambunctious much? This is a kid who's going to be he's going to try and make the most. He's going to look like Ryan Garcia on April 22nd. He's going to be way too anxious for his own good. And guess what? The very disciplined old man of the 140-pound weight division, Francis Barthélemy, is going to have something waiting for him every single time. Yep. I tell you what, Joseph has the beat. Kenneth Sims Jr. fight is the one that I'm looking forward to against Akhmedov. James, Akhmedov could quite easily still be undefeated.
Mm-hmm.
He had two very questionable decisions against him. Who do you like in this fight? I love this matchup. Good call, Joseph.
I like it's a very, very good one. I feel like there's very much on the line for Batir Akhmedov in this. He can't afford to have another loss at this point, even though it's like, you know, as they said, quote unquote, early in his career, they, you know, had him at a high level, you know, early in his career. So if he has a loss in this one, it's like a total reset. He would pretty much have to start from scratch.
Well, look, and your brother Lefty knows this. The last thing you want to do, like in Sergey Derevyanchenko's situation, is to get this guy who is a legitimate contender thinking and having the mindset of an opponent.
Mm-hmm.
Akhmedov, or what's his name? Akhmedov. My apologies, sir. He is no one's opponent. Yet, he's being billed as an opponent. Okay, and that's huge in the sport, in the business of boxing. You do not want legitimate contenders being paired up and losing enough decisions where they start thinking like a mere opponent. Are we going to see that this weekend? Oh, the plot thickens. And I tell you what, let's go to the main event, guys. And once again, we're going to bypass right now fact or fiction for the time being, because there is corruption abroad, a corruption afloat with the WBA, my friend. Guys, I will tell you this. There's a reason why Ismael Barroso has gotten this assignment in the main event, now fighting for the interim WBA title at 140. This is a guy who's 40 years of age and who hasn't fought in a 12-round fight since 2019. Ranked number 35 in the world. How on earth does he get this assignment? I'll tell you how. Guys, if you know about Gilberto Mendoza Jr., his dad, originally from Venezuela. That's where his family is. Guys, I didn't tell you this, but Gilberto Mendoza Jr., he is managing fighters out of Colombia and Venezuela. Why do you think Gabriel Maestre last year got that terrible decision against Michael Fox? Where's he from, James?
Oh, Venezuela.
Yep. Guys, that's the only reason why he's getting this favorable assignment. Because he's from Venezuela, and here it is. Here's the corruption. Gilberto Mendoza Jr. is indirectly managing fighters out of Venezuela, his dad's home country, the country where his family lives. He's managing fighters out of Venezuela. How else would he get this assignment? This is corruption at its finest. And once again, James, you know me, brother. You know me. I'm one of the biggest boxing sympathizers. Like, people make fun of me because I'm always sticking up for the judges, for the sanctioning organizations, for the fighters, for the promoters, but I can't stick up for this. This is pure corruption at its finest. James, I'm going to ask you, should a president of a sanctioning organization be managing fighters?
No. Should be.
That's what we're getting on Saturday night, brother.
Yep. And the president, who is likely involved with the WBA Championships Committee, voted that the fight between Rolando Romero and Ismael Barroso will be for the WBA Super Lightweight Championship, not interim, full championship.
You've got to be kidding me. That was just announced today?
Yes, that is announced today.
Holy cow. Look, Lefty brings up a very good point, but this isn't exclusive to the WBA. He says there was also that consulting company who managers paid to have their fighters ranked in the WBA. But I hate to say this, that's not exclusive to the WBA. Every sanctioning organization has that process. And look, here's a neat story. And once again, this is my brother, Emmanuel Stewart. When I was actually working with Emmanuel, and when I was one of his pupils, one of his proteges, a guy who said, yeah, this kid has the potential of being the next Tommy Hearns at 154 pounds. His name is Tony Superbad Harrison. He was like 8-0 with 8 knockouts at the time. He said, well, watch this, Joseph, watch this. He calls up Paco from the WBO and says, hey, Paco, I need you to do me a favor. We want to get him a spot on HBO, Boxing After Dark. And we can't get him that spot with the network executives unless you can get him ranked. Can you put him in the top 10 next month so we get a spot on HBO Boxing After Dark? This is right before he passed away, right? And the very next month, he was ranked number 5. Brother, if you think this only happens with the WBA, you're sadly mistaken. This happens everywhere. How do you think Camille Zarameta was the number 1 ranked middleweight to face Gennady Golovkin in his mandatory challenger?
Oh my God.
That guy at the time was ranked number 25 in the world. Yet he was the number 1 contender to Daryl Peoples' sanctioning organization, the IBF. How on earth did that happen? Well, once again, if you lobby strong enough, you can get anyone ranked. James, I could probably get you ranked in the WBO or IBF next month in the top 15. Brother?
Oh man, let me see if I would want to be in the ranked in those organizations.
But I'm with Hy-Vee. Welcome to the program, sir. He says Kenneth Sims Jr. will give anyone at 140 problems. He's that talented, yes, and we look forward to a great fight between him and Akhmadev tomorrow, or this Saturday, right? I say tomorrow. Leo, on that note, with the verbal gaff, let's do another shot. Here you guys go. Salute down the hatch. Sweet amber to you. More Jack Daniels. God bless all of you guys, and I hope you guys are having a wonderful Wednesday evening, and thank you for sharing it with us. Here's to you, James. Woo! Yes. We moving on? Hold on. Let's see. Where are we? Let's move to one of our opening topics. We're going to jump the line right here, right?
Okay.
So now to already let the cat out of the bag of the WBA corruption, guys. Let's move to number 9. Number 9, fact or fiction, guys. Please play along with us. Joe Joyce has only activated his rematch clause with the Big Bang to try and get some step-aside money and a written guarantee to face the eventual winner between Zhilei Zhang and Tyson Fury. Fact or fiction?
I say that's a fact. A fact. To me, at this point, whether it's a few months from now or 5 months from now or whatever, I don't think Joe Joyce is really ready for an immediate rematch against Zhilei Zhang. And Zhang knows that this could be his opportunity to cash in. You know how they have the WWE Money in the Bank thing. This could be his opportunity to cash in
Money in the
on
bank.
a big fight. And since at this current juncture, Tyson Fury does not have any opponent of sorts. This could be something where, hey, like you said earlier, he could have Tyson Fury in Wembley Stadium against Zhang, two big heavyweights in there and getting it on and scrapping it out.
Yeah, you know what, brother? Because once again, I'm going to read from this article that was just published on Boxing News 24. It's titled, quote, Slow Mo Joe can't win a rematch with Zhang, insists Ronnie Shields. All right. And here's some quotes from my brother Ronnie. He said this, quote, I know he had a rematch clause in the first fight contract, so he should use it to negotiate some step-aside money, as well as a guarantee to face the winner, should Tyson Fury be victorious. But if the Big Bang somehow wins the WBC title in July, well, Joyce would be wise to forget about his first loss and not try to avenge it. And he had better hope they actually finalize the agreement. Hope Tyson Fury doesn't once again have cold feet, because otherwise he's going to be stuck in another problematic matchup with the big punching southpaw. Zhang's style is all wrong for Joe Joyce. He'd have a better chance of beating Tyson Fury. Mini fact or fiction, do you agree with Coach Ronnie's sentiment, fact or fiction, sir?
What he said, mini factor fiction. So it's a mini fact there. Same style is all wrong for Joyce. Yes.
And he's saying that Joyce would have a better chance of beating Tyson Fury for Ronnie Shields.
I don't know. I think that's about the same odds. I think Fury's still it would just be a different. It would just be a different way. Like Fury would just embarrass him because
it'd be a different ass whooping.
Yeah, it would just be something where Joyce can move. I mean, he'd still get hit a lot.
Yep.
It just would take a longer time for Fury to accumulate all the punishment on Joe Joyce, man. Joyce. After that fight against Zhang, that's like a back to the drawing board type of moment. And given who's like in Joyce's corner or was on Joyce's corner, like he definitely needs a lot of work, and they gotta work on him kind of expanding his game. That steady as you go, just putting a little bit in the bucket to eventually fill it up on the opponent. That's not going to work against the heavy hitters in the heavyweight division. So he's going to have to incorporate some power punches and get in and dirty in order to get back into the fold at the top of the heavyweight division.
Well, let me read on, right? And these are some more quotes from Coach Ronnie Shields, right? Mm-hmm. He says, quote, Zhang is no joke. Now, once again, guys, Coach Shields, end quote, right? Once again, Coach Shields understands exactly what Joe Joyce and head trainer Ismael Salas are up against. Remember in August of 2022, Ronnie and Filip Ergovich had their hands full when facing the Big Bang. Mm-hmm. And in my opinion, boy, they were fortunate to get their arm raised in victory that evening, becoming the IBF interim heavyweight champion, right? Mm-hmm. Basically the next in line after the WBO, right? So he says this, quote, Zhang is no joke. Boy, his hand speed, boxing skills, and power are enough to be competitive with anyone in this division. But styles indeed make fights, and with his attributes, Zhang has the right style to beat Joe Joyce 10 times out of 10 fights. The Big Bang thrives off of opponents who stand right in front of him. and where he can see the punches coming from a mile away, slipping, then countering effectively. Does Slow-Mo Joe think that he's gotten faster since that beat down in April at age 37? Does he think he can get someone who can replicate that same movement and speed in camp? Where are you going to get your speed from, Joe? Where are you going to get your head movement from, Joe? Your coach can't fight for you. He said, man, during the first fight, Zhang could have closed his eyes and hit him all night long still. Joyce was right there to be hit, and there's not a damn thing he could do about it. It was obvious that he didn't have a strategy to defeat Zhilei Zhang. End quote. Did he say anything that was incorrect in your mind?
Nope. Not one thing.
Well, I tell you what.
Like a statue.
Like a statue, brother. Well, I tell you what, let's just hope that he gets some of that step-aside money. Otherwise, if Tyson Fury backs out of this and he has to go through with the rematch, boy, he's in trouble. He's in trouble with a capital T. Staying with the UK, though, let's move on with Fact or Fiction. James?
Right.
Number 10, Anthony Joshua will get knocked out within 3 rounds in December by the hands of Deontay Wilder. Fact or fiction?
You know the answer to this because we talked about this earlier. I say fiction.
Well, did we? Did we actually talk about this?
Well, no, not in reference to this particular fight, but in reference to another matchup involving Deontay Wilder. But
oh boy,
I say fiction. Now within no. Nope.
¿Por qué, señor? Which means why in Spanish, brother?
Which means that in December, Anthony Joshua and Deontay Wilder fight. Anthony Joshua wins.
Oh boy, please do tell, my friend. Explain yourself. Explain yourself, James.
Okay. This has been my stance, like for those that have followed me for years. This has been my stance for years in reference to those two guys, right? And for me with Wilder, it's one thing when he faces guys that are shorter than him and that may not have a punch against him. Okay. He could do pretty much whatever he wants. He has the range against those opponents. So he could leave his left hand out, whether he uses a jab or mixes the jab around or pulls it out. But he'll be able to shoot the right hand over that because he knows he has the range against those guys. He doesn't have that against Anthony Joshua, one. And then two, he does have issues dealing with a fighter that throws a jab very well. And Anthony Joshua does throw a jab very well.
Okay. I will say this to counter, James. Mm-hmm. Is it an intelligent jab, though?
Is it an intelligent
Because once again, Deontay Wilder is not very many people understand this about him. Malik Scott does, obviously. He's a counterpuncher by trade. So it was always the intelligent jab as well as the upper body and feet feinting movement of Tyson Fury that disrupted the timing and rhythm. Well, I can guarantee you that Anthony Joshua possesses none of that.
Well, if you have someone that's a counterpuncher in Wilder against a counterpuncher in Joshua, that doesn't make for a good matchup, usually counterpuncher versus counterpuncher.
Well, that usually, the heavyweight division, that usually makes for a fight. Well, whoever lands the first big shot wins.
Right.
And look, I will say this. I will take the beard of Deontay Wilder over the beard of Anthony Joshua, as well as the confidence level, any day of the week.
Well, if that fight happens in December, get ready to put a bet on the line.
Woo! I love it. Want to welcome our brother Sly. Tendencies of the show. He says, Joyce, was a straight up heavy bag that night. Yes, he was. Well, he still is. Do you think really anything's changed since April? Like, and it's funny, in an interview with IFL TV, the gentleman conducting the interview asked him straight up, what was your strategy that night? Joyce didn't have an answer. I told you guys going into it that he was under the mindset because of his promoter listening to all the bullshit around him. Oh, yeah, man, I could have fought Anthony Joshua and Jermaine Franklin the same night. I could have knocked them out both. Asking or answering questions, fielding questions of Tyson Fury, Anthony Joshua, Alexander Usyk, anyone but Zhilei Zhang. In his mind, it was already a foregone conclusion. He was going to wipe up the floor with the big Chinese puncher. Didn't happen that way, though, did it? And thank you, Zhilei Zhang, for making me $5,000 on that night. Thank you very much. But I will say this concerning your last statement. My brother Dre Finest says, nope, James Wilder knocks AJ out. But we'll see. Once again, guys, James has very good eyes. He sees things, well, that a lot of people don't. And so it makes everything very perplexing. I tell you what, with what you said, James, and from what I believe, from what my brother Jay Finest just said, from what a lot of people have been talking about, December can't come soon enough, my friend.
Yeah. And, you know, on that note, in reference to that particular fight, no belts are on the line.
Who cares?
Who cares? One. And two, it just proves that that particular matchup is still the biggest fight in the heavyweight division.
Well, one of them, once again, Fury Alexander Usyk is a huge fight as well. And I will say this, the biggest fight, in my opinion, in the heavyweight division is still Tyson Fury versus Anthony Joshua. Mm-hmm. Yep. Guys, once again, December can't come soon enough. And my brother Jay Finest agrees with us. Nope, it can't. I tell you what, do you have room for one more fact or fiction, my friend?
Yeah, one more here before we close.
One more before we tie things up, because it's almost midnight your time, isn't it, brother?
Yep.
Here we go. Here we go, James. Last but not least, fact or fiction, guys. Please play along with us. Devin Haney will be outpointed by Vasyl Lomachenko on May 20th. Fact or fiction, my friend?
Fiction.
Are you sure?
Yes. Yes. This one I'm sure about. At least with this, I've never wavered. I've said this ever since the fight was announced. I got Devin Haney winning this fight. Like it's like, for me, it's one that I'm sure about. I know that, you know, some people feel like it'll be a lot closer than, you know, some fans are kind of pushing it out as like a clear Haney win or something like that. But, you know, it looks like, you know, the overall experience level of Vasyl Lomachenko and how much is on the line, so to speak, in reference to Lomachenko, makes him feel like, okay, this is it. This is my last, pretty much like my last chance, so to speak. And so he's gonna really be gunning for it against Devin Haney, but I feel like Haney will have enough to do what he needs to do against Lomachenko and get the win.
Well, I tell you what, that's going to be greatly determined, right? Greatly determined by the referee in charge that night. Is Devin Haney going to be allowed to wrap up Vasily Lomachenko like an octopus every single time he attempts to collapse the pocket? Is he going to be able to? And number two, it's going to be largely determined by the time of the official weigh-in. Is Devin Haney going to be allowed to weigh in at 9 a.m. in the morning, merely having a ceremonial weigh-in for the media in attendance later that afternoon? Those two factors are going to largely determine the winner of this contest on May 20th. And once again, man, to my dismay, I'm not going to be able to see the fight live, James. You're going to have to let me know what happens. Because I'm going to be ring announcing in San Antonio, Texas, guys, at the Techport Arena, right? But guys, that's going to just about do it. So James seems to think, like a lot of people, that Haney is going to skate away with a very decisive decision against Vasily Lomachenko. When you consider the youth, the height, reach, skill level of Devin Haney, when you consider the age of Vasily Lomachenko, like James, when have you ever heard of a lightweight being 35 and in his prime?
You can't. I've never.
That's it. So you know what? Conventional wisdom says that you're correct in this. But I will tell you, guys, don't be shocked. Don't be shocked if Vasily Lomachenko gets the benefit of all the close rounds in Vegas. That's all I'm going to say, guys. And on that note, we are going to go ahead and bid you adieu. And James, do you have any parting shots for our listening audience, sir?
Not very much. Just I guess we have some fights coming up this week, and then we look ahead to that bout between Devin Haney and Vasily Lomachenko on May 20th. So enjoy the fights, and I enjoyed this particular episode here on WAWR Week Radio Network with Joseph Heron. So I will catch y'all later on the Boxing Source YouTube channel and the podcast that's on Sunday.
Guys, once again, don't forget to support your brother James on the Boxing Source, on as well as YouTube. Go subscribe if you haven't already, and go please bookmark boxingsource.net for all latest news from brother James. And guys, once again, this weekend, enjoy the extended paid advertisement for Haney Lomachenko this Saturday night on ESPN from Stockton, California, and go enjoy that WBA corruption on Showtime Sports this Saturday night, guys. But on behalf of brother James from the Boxing Source, I'm Joseph Heron. You've been listening to WAWR Week Radio. Have a wonderful evening, everybody.